Greetings. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Minorities for Medical Marijuana. Health is Wellness. Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Happy Saturday to wherever you are in the country. We are doing our show a little bit later than we normally do today because I have some really special guests and I wanted to make sure that you could hear their stories. So we had to change up the time a little bit, but that's okay. Thank you if you are joining us via our Facebook page or our YouTube channel. Thank you for joining us this Saturday afternoon. We are really excited to bring you a great show today about breast cancer and a couple of breast cancer warriors, I like to call them. So I will be introducing you to those beautiful ladies in just a little while. But first, I wanted to briefly discuss a couple of the facts that we do know about breast cancer. And, you know, everybody knows that there are a lot of different kinds. And what is hard to determine is the different kinds of breast cancer. They're different diagnoses, but it's easy to get them confused. And so the type of breast cancer is determined by the specific cells in the breast that are affected. Most breast cancers are carcinomas. So we know that as lesions on the skin, right? Which are tumors, lesions, tumors, that start in the epithelial cells that line the organs and tissues throughout the body. So when carcinomas form in the breast, they are usually a more specific type of called adenocarcinoma, which starts in cells in the ducts, the milk ducts, or the lobules, which are milk-producing glands. So that's normally where these tumors form. And that's why it's important for you to do your breast check monthly to determine if you feel any of these tumors, the carcinomas. The type of breast cancer can also refer to whether the cancer has spread or not. So that determines it, if it's early detection or if you find it a little bit later, that's usually when it begins to spread. But the type of breast cancer can also already be spreading, whether it's early or not. So it's always good to continue to check. It is a cancer in ductal carcinoma in situ, or DCIS, is a cancer that starts in a milk duct and has not grown into the rest of the breast tissue. The term invasive or infiltrating breast cancer is used to describe any type of breast cancer that has spread or invaded into the surrounding breast tissue. Some invasive breast cancers have special features or develop in different ways that affect their treatment and outlook. These cancers are less common, but can be more serious than other types of breast cancer. So you have some that are not as serious, but of course, also affect a small minority of people that get diagnosed with breast cancer. You have triple negative breast cancer, which is an aggressive type of invasive breast cancer that accounts for about 15% of all breast cancers. It is difficult to treat. Inflammatory breast cancer is uncommon type of invasive breast cancer. It accounts for about 1 to 5% of all breast cancers. Metastatic breast cancer. Now, this is a term that I've heard a lot, and it seems to be very scary when you hear that term, metastatic. But what metastatic actually means, or it's also known as stage 4 breast cancer, is breast cancer that has spread to another part of the body, most commonly the liver, brain, bones, and lungs. The cancer cells break away from the original tumor in the breast and travel to other parts of the body through the bloodstream or the lymphatic system. The lymphatic system is used to help remove the trash and toxins from the body. So when those cancer cells get in the lymphatic system and the lymphatic system, operates throughout the entire body, of course, it could spread to other parts. Breast cancer can come back in another part of the body months or years after the original diagnosis and treatment. nearly 30% of women diagnosed with early stage breast cancer will develop metastatic disease. Now, these numbers are a little alarming. How common is breast cancer in America? Breast cancer is the most common cancer in American women, except for skin cancers. The average risk of a woman in the United States developing breast cancer sometime in her life is about 13%. This means there is a 1 in 8 chance that she will develop breast cancer. This also means there is a 7 in 8 chance that she will never have the disease. Breast cancer in men is a rare disease. I know you're asking, of course, you've heard of men getting breast cancer. So obviously it's not just in the milk ducts or milk glands. Less than 1% of all breast cancers occur in men. In 2021, about 2,650 men are expected to be diagnosed with the disease, and an estimated 530 men are expected to die from breast cancer. For men, the lifetime risk of being diagnosed with a breast cancer is about 1 in 833, so much less than a woman. Now, breast cancer and cannabis. Researchers say more than 40% of people being treated for breast cancer use cannabis to help with the side effects from treatment. Nearly half of those who use cannabis haven't even told their doctors. A new study, trusted source in the journal Cancer, found that 42% of the 612 breast cancer patients studied said they used cannabis to relieve symptoms associated with their disease or the side effects of treatment, including pain, fatigue, nausea, and vomiting, insomnia, stress, and anxiety. 3/4 of the people who used cannabis said it was helpful in alleviating their symptoms. Research has shown that cannabis can be effective for many of these symptoms, notably pain and nausea. We know this already about cannabis. However, this was an interesting fact. Nearly half of the study participants who used cannabis, 49%, also believe that cannabis could be used to treat cancer itself, something that's not supported by research. That's what the cancer.org website, I'm quoting them. So that is not the response that I've gotten in the research that I've done. And it's how and why I found the women that I found for us to talk to today. So I'm really excited to get into this conversation about how you can use the option of treating your cancer, breast cancer, by using cannabis and other naturopathic methods. And so I'm really excited to introduce to you all today my two guests. We have Miss Tashima Johnson, a wonderful, wonderful lady that I just admire so much. She is from the great state of Georgia, or living in the great state of Georgia now. She's not from there, but she's living in the great state of Georgia now. And she is the founder of Purpose and Passion. And I would love for her to tell you a little bit more about what Purpose and Passion is, and her passion for starting a business like this. And then we also have Rhea Campbell. Rhea is the founder of Bosom Wellness. I cannot wait for her to tell her story. It is so inspiring. And she will tell us about how and why she founded Bosom Wellness. So let's get this show started today, this Saturday. Introduce our guests, Miss Tashima Johnson and Miss Rhea Campbell. Welcome, ladies. Thank you so very much for joining me today.
Hello, glad to be here.
Hi, thank
So
you.
doing great. Thanks for being here. I would like to get started with Tashima, please. Will you tell us a little bit about yourself, and how and why you decided to found Purpose and Passion?
Sure. So, almost sad to say though, breast cancer guided a lot of my journey. It kind of like took me down a lot of different avenues, but they worked out to be great and it was good findings. So, um, I found out that I had cancer in, let's say this, I started chemo the first time on my 25th birthday. I think it was like in 2004. And so the first time I went the route of, medicines, chemos and all of that, I previously had triple negative. And they say that I have the BRCA gene because my mom's a survivor as well. So the process started. I went through chemo. I was cancer free for about 13 years. But in the process, I was working in corporate America, and I decided, you know what, life is so short. I want to do something that I love every day. I don't want to have any regrets. And so I always wanted to own a hair salon. And so I did that. I left my corporate job with a lot of prayer, of course, and opened up a salon. And I currently don't have the salon open, but I do the wigs for cancer patients, any cancer or alopecia patients. And so the journey of that, the salon, and the passing of my husband, I feel like a lot of the stress of that and the chemicals from that particular environment, the year after my husband passed, cancer came back again. And my husband had been pushing me to kind of get out of the business anyway because of my health. And so I started real estate school because of that. And then, so I eventually ventured off into real estate. And so that's what I do now. But that's why I said this journey has taken me, like the breast cancer journey has taken me through a lot of different twists and turns. But the second time around of having cancer, which I feel like a lot of times, yes, it was already in my body. And the second time when it came back, they did label it as metastatic stage 4. And I'm sitting here today and I don't have any cancer in my body. I did a different approach the last time. So I went completely vegan. I used the medical marijuana for my endocannabinoid system. It treats a lot of different things. I hear a lot of people with breast cancer complaining about neuropathy, and they're taking these pain pills and all of these drugs that they were trying to give me when I was going through treatment would cause me to be, my system can't take it. Like if I take a Zyrtec, I'm sleepy. So my system is very weird. And so I use natural medicines. And it worked really well. I don't deal with I don't have any neuropathy. All the chemo that I went through multiple times, I don't have any neuropathy. I don't have, I mean, I deal with lymphedema, but other than that, like I don't have any side effects.
Can you explain to us what lymphedema is, please?
So basically, when I had cancer, they removed lymph nodes. And so when they remove lymph nodes, because the cancer invades your lymph nodes, they try to remove the ones that's invaded. And so when that happens, they remove your lymph nodes. So your lymph nodes, your system isn't flowing the way that it would naturally flow because some of them are removed and they're jeopardized. And so I have to do a lot of manual things to help my lymphatic system flow and drink a lot of different teas and a lot of things like that to help my lymphatic system out.
Yeah, the lymphatic system is so important. It's like the trash service of the body, right? That's its job. Its job is to go from cell to cell, pick up all the trash, all the bacteria, all the virus, all the gunk, and pick it up and remove it from that system, from that cell, right? And then it dumps it. So if it's not doing that in the way that it should, because you've got some of those lymph nodes removed, then you're right. You're having to do a little bit extra to make sure that the lymphatic system is getting the support it needs, since it's lacking some of its workers, so to speak. And so that's important to know. So thank you for sharing that journey with us. So inspiring. Thank you so much. And Rhea, please, I would love for you to introduce yourself. Please tell us a little bit about Bosom Wellness and how and why you founded it. And you're coming from a little different perspective as a caretaker versus an actual patient. So really excited to hear your story.
Thank you. Yeah, that's right. I kind of got started on the journey of researching breast cancer, and which ultimately resulted in researching breast health when my mom was diagnosed about 15 years ago now with breast cancer. And she had a very rare form of breast cancer, and she wasn't inclined, as often does occur with breast cancer patients, they don't want to be the researcher and to be really digging into. Their job is simply just to heal and create a state of peace and calm in their reality. And it can be kind of stressful to, you know, research into and get into all the details of what's going on. So I kind of took on that role for her and would accompany her to her appointments, as everyone who's going through treatment needs a buddy to hold their hand and take them to the doctor. It's great if it could be your daughter, your best friend, your mom, because there's so many terrifying steps along the way. I mean, the first trip to the doctor all the way through every single treatment, somebody needs support and an advocate and somebody there who, because as you're, you know, internalizing what the doctor is telling you, you can't, you know, think clearly about all the details. And so having your advocate who can be writing it all down and really thinking clearly and asking the right questions is, you know, a wonderful thing for somebody who's going through that. So I became that for my mom. And as I started looking into it, I realized that there were so many things about breast health. I was 32 years old. I'd never heard about any of these things. It was the first time I'd ever learned about my lymphatic system. It was the first time I'd ever learned about any of the preventative lifestyle choices and habits that are very powerful in the prevention of breast cancer, and understanding how not even the choices of our lifestyle, but just the stress and the trauma and the, you know, the grief that we go through in our day-to-day lives can have a huge impact on the breast tissue, and how breast cancer has traditionally been seen as a very emotional illness. And even when women don't necessarily understand that they have trauma, stress, grief, anger, as we stuff these emotions, where they tend to lodge in the body is in the breasts. And so I started learning about all of this and was basically kind of shocked that no one taught this to women, you know, that no one taught women, you need to take care of yourself. You need to do self-care. You need to, you know, process your emotions. So, in conjunction with kind of floating down this river and kind of having all these aha moments, we were really working on trying to figure out how to get a topical formula for my mom, because we wanted the concentrated cannabis to be able to be absorbed into the tumor itself, which was actually on the surface of her skin. And it was difficult. There were no products that had a high concentration of cannabis extract, and the cannabis extract itself was very difficult to be absorbed by the body. It's very sticky and kind of doesn't soak in or have very good absorption. Yeah,
that's
resonate.
right.
So
Right.
I became aware of, as I was saying, there's practices, there's breast massage, which I'll talk about in a minute. There's castor oil packs, which I'll also talk about and explain how to do. And there's certain topical products like evening primrose oil, which are wonderful traditional healing products that are used for various issues on the breasts, like pain and cysts and mastitis and what have you. So I started experimenting with the castor oil and the evening primrose oil and the concentrated cannabis to create something that could help the absorption of the cannabis straight and directly into the breast tissue. And I found and learned pretty much right away that castor oil is an amazing remedy that everyone should know about and should have in their, you know, medicine cabinets, because it's so healing for so many different things. It's traditionally used like a castor oil pack on the tummy if you're having any kind of tummy issues, if you're having constipation or diarrhea or IBS or anything like that. And what's special about the castor oil is that it is a certain molecular size that it can slip through and penetrate the dermis, which is the surface of the skin. And it can take whatever it's mixed with into the body and straight into the bloodstream and straight into the lymphatic system. So when I was mixing the cannabis with the castor oil, I was, accidentally or, fortunately, having a happy accident of coming up with a formula that would really allow that cannabis extract to go straight into the breast tissue and the bloodstream and the lymphatic system. And castor oil is known to stimulate lymphatic flow. So like in addressing lymphedema, it's a wonderful remedy and tool to, you can do a castor oil pack anywhere on your body. If you're having swelling, like a lot of times women will get swelling in the arm because the lymph nodes in the axillary have been removed. And you can do a castor oil pack and it will immediately alleviate a lot of that stagnation because it stimulates lymphatic flow, which is a fantastic thing.
Did you hear that, Tashima?
I did, and I'm over here like, wait.
Rhea, can you explain to us how to make a castor patch? Like, what does that? How would you do something like that? Yeah.
Yeah, it's very easy. All you need is castor oil. I recommend going to the extra step of finding well-made organic castor oil in a glass bottle. It is available, and it's important because it has a tendency to absorb the oil. All oil will absorb the BPA
container
and the materials in the plastic where it is stored. And then because it slips through the bloodstream, you don't want to be, because we're using this on our tender breasts, you don't want to be introducing any xenochemicals or BPAs into the breast tissue. So get it from a glass jar, and there are several brands that are available like at the health food store or online. So you take castor oil, you put it on a cloth, any piece of towel or t-shirt or rag, whatever you got. You soak it on there, and then you take that, you put it on your body, and then you put a heating pad on top of it. And one of the most remarkable things about castor oil that I just still can't believe, it's just so magical, is that castor oil stimulates the release of oxytocin. And the release of oxytocin is the most healing mechanism that our body has, because when we're in a state of fight or flight, which is when we have adrenaline pumping, we have stress, and we're hyperactivated, our healing shuts down completely. Our immune system is turned off because we're in fight or flight. And so there's no digestion happening. There's no healing happening whatsoever. And it's more blood pressure is up, heart rate is up, and you're in fight or flight mode. And that suppresses the immune system. And oxytocin, when it releases, it turns off that adrenaline fight or flight response, and it sends signals throughout the entire body that you are safe, that you are cozy, that you are feeling good, and all is well. And that turns on and is like a super booster for the immune system, and it will shut down the fight or flight mode. And castor oil packs stimulate the release of oxytocin. So doing that practice,
is amazing. That is amazing.
Okay, so as soon as we get off, like
right, exactly. Me too. I'm going to the store,
and I am going to mix it with a tonic that I have, and I will be doing it as good.
Yes. So the other thing I wanted to ask you, Rhea, before you continue, is these castor oil packs is one thing, but what do you recommend as a daily routine or practice, or maybe weekly practice, that any woman that has a breast, because the stats I read said that the women between 2014 and 2018, that the that the demographic of women that are getting breast cancer is getting younger by 5 years. So you have to start checking before you're 50 now, and 50 might be too old. You need to be looking at 40 and above. But
Or
what
younger.
yeah,
Younger,
younger.
because
You were
I'm
25.
telling you, I started at chemo at 25, and I promise you, I felt the lump like months prior. I went to my doctor and I told him, I said, my mom's a survivor. And she told me that she wasn't concerned, and that if it felt such and such way, that I should be fine. And she didn't want to check it. And I waited 3 months to get it checked again. And thank God I did, but they didn't want to check it. They told me I was too early, too young.
Yeah, so you're never too
Wow.
young. There we go. She is a living, walking testimony that you're never too young. So what do you recommend for young women, young men, that to do to check their breast daily? What should they be doing? Because the first thing is you got to get to know your breast. You got to know how your breast feels. So you got to check it every day as they start to develop. You got to go, okay, let's push around in here, see what's in here. Because if you check it and something new comes up, that's the only way you're going to know. If you're not checking it, then you're not going to know if there's something different and new that you feel in there. So could you kind of tell us talk us through what that daily routine should look like?
Yeah, for sure. Actually, this is kind of the birth of my company, Bosom Wellness, and what Bosom Wellness was created to inspire everyone to do a daily breast massage. And I teach breast massage all the time to everyone. If you have cancer and you're going through treatment, that is the only time that it is not recommended to do breast massage. And that's because the cells are in a sensitive and fragile state. And we don't want to, you can actually stimulate them in a negative way. So if you're going through treatment or you've been diagnosed, that would be a time to use your castor oil pack on your breasts. You can just put the whole piece of cloth across your breasts, soak it in castor oil, put some other healing things like you mentioned in with the castor oil that you want to go into the body. And then that's gentle and non-invasive, and it's wonderful. But we don't recommend it during, when someone's having actual breast cancer. But other than that, I could not believe I was 32 years old before I ever read or heard anything about breast massage. And it's like could save your life. And basically, I recommend you do it whenever you take a shower, but you can do it whenever is comfortable and convenient. You could do it every night when you get in bed. You can do it whenever you take a shower, whatever works. But it's a very simple technique. There's 3 main steps that you can do. There's all sorts of YouTube videos, and I have a YouTube video on how to do a breast massage. But what's so great about it is that, like you mentioned, 1, you're going to get to know your breasts in a very intimate way. And 2, your intuition is going to speak to you when you are doing a breast massage. You will not be able to not hear the whispers from within telling you that it's time to go to the doctor. And that is so powerful that you trust that and follow your intuition. And so when you're doing the breast massage, you're going to be in the armpit, because the axillary area, that actually is breast tissue all the way up into the axillary area and all the way across the entire chest from the nipple up. And you're also going to work this area here, because this is the lymphatic system, and the lymphatic system is like a intricate matrix with our breast health. And what's happening in our bodies is that we're overtoxified from our environment, our food, our stress levels, our own hormones in our own body, our own estrogens in our own bodies, the medicines that we're taking. Basically, our lymphatic system cannot keep up with all of this toxicity that we're basically a sponge for. And we're never doing breast massage, and we're wearing bras our entire life. From the moment we have breasts starting to bud, we are taught to strap them down and don't feel. Don't feel the boobies, and don't touch them. Don't think about them. Don't look at them. They're taboo. They're not allowed. And what a bra literally is, it's like a rubber band castrating your lymphatic system, because this whole area, you have lymph nodes here, you have lymph nodes here, and you have lymph nodes here. And you're putting a band, a tight band across here, cutting off all the lymphatic flow that's trying to flush the toxins on a daily basis out of your body. Then on top of that, you're putting on deodorant. And this aluminum crap is plugging up all the skin, so your skin can't breathe. And the sweating is how your body is trying to expel those toxins. And so by the time we're, doing that for the first many years of our life with no breast care, which no one's ever even heard of, so why would they know to do it? The body is all messed up. The body can't do its normal job.
Before you go into the massage and finish showing us the massage, really quick, I'd like to give my testimony about deodorant. So as an adult, I just sweat because I'm active. And about probably like 6 years ago, I started getting these black, like very hard pimples that would get to a big fat head and pus up underneath my arms. Thought it was shaving.
Yeah.
No, it's the deodorant. And then I realized I need to find a different deodorant, an aluminum free deodorant, of all of the talc, all that stuff, get it out. So I went on a search for natural deodorant, and now I have one. It's made of aloe and almond. It's like amazing. But it's like 70% aloe. The rest is water, baking soda. But those black marks and those black pimples underneath my arms stopped. As soon as I switched to a natural deodorant. So ladies, men out there, that deodorant that they're selling you on the shelves, it's toxic. It is literally killing us. And my dad told me, because my dad was the first one that talked about, deodorant. And he was the first person I ever knew that used that crystal, and he'd be around the house funky. But the crystal didn't work as well as some of the stuff they have on the market now. But that was my first, option at a natural deodorant. And my father was an OBGYN and infertility specialist. So he knew the woman's body. He knew it very intimately. And so he would talk to his patients. And he was the first person, of course, to show me how to do a breast massage and check my breasts and what I should be doing. And so, it's funny that all these years later, I've been on natural deodorant now for at least 5 years. So I found the right one that I like. And I haven't had any more issues, no more of these bumps, no more pains underneath my arms. And so just, if you don't take anything else away from our conversation today, ladies and gentlemen who are watching and tuning in, and thank you for doing so, please replace your deodorant today. Throw away whatever you have in your cabinet, because whatever it is, if it's not from a natural health food store, if you read those ingredients, if you see aluminum, if you see parabens, if you see anything that it coats onto the skin and prevents you, if it says antiperspirant, you have to sweat. If you don't sweat, then the toxins can't come out of your body. And like she said, like Rhea said, this is right next to your lymphatic system. So under your arms is pushing out those toxins and bad stuff that is coming from the rest of your body. And if you don't allow your body to sweat, then it won't come out. So if your deodorant says antiperspirant on it, throw it away and go get you a new deodorant. Okay, continue.
And then start doing some castor oil packs on your armpits to remediate the area so that you can reestablish that healthy flow. Because we want the flow. That's what we need. Our breasts need their circulation and their lymphatic fluids flowing. And we're trapping them. We're holding them down. We're not thinking about them. We're not touching them. It's like the only time they ever get any attention is if there's something wrong, or if you're having, a sexual, experience, and that's not healthy for your breasts.
No.
Yeah.
So show us how to do this massage, Rhea.
So the breast massage, 3 simple steps. You're going to start by taking your hands underneath your ear and the bottom of your jaw, and you're just going to stroke down the neck. this triggers lymphatic flow. You have lymph nodes back here and all under here, and the lymph fluid wants to flow down the neck. So you're going to start by sending a signal to your body that it's time to trigger lymphatic flow. And it also feels really good. And it can be gentle. Lymph massage and breast massage is gentle. It's done with the surface of the fingertips. And it's more of a stroking. It's not a deep tissue thing at all. It's more of like a rubbing on top of the skin. And then you're just going to float your hands down to the center of your breastbone. There are some wonderful acupressure points right here. And so it's nice to take a moment to just tap in to those points and take a deep breath and just kind of, like connect with your heart chakra. The heart is guarded and protected by the breasts. And so when you're doing your breast massage, it's a time to connect with your emotions. So you take a deep breath and you're just kind of activating these acupressure points here. And then you're going to stroke all the way out toward the shoulder or to the auxiliary armpit along the surface of your chest. And this helps we store so much estrogen in our breast tissue. They're like little sponges for all the estrogens. We have endogenous estrogens, there's phytoestrogens, xenoestrogens, and they're all not good because what they plug up the estrogen receptors so that our natural estrogen can't attach there. And it's like toxic. It becomes very toxic for the breasts. So this helps your body to release the excess estrogen. I'm going to put this down a little bit so you can see. Then you're going to do what's called the traditional Taoist breast massage, where you're going to do circles all around the whole breast. And you start by going outward. You start one direction. I always start by going outward. And you think about unwinding whatever you don't want, whatever you're dealing with right now. If you're dealing with stress, you just tell yourself, I'm letting that shit go. I'm allowing myself to forgive and forget. I'm letting go of the stress. I don't need it. It's bad for me. I'm letting go of my, grudge that I'm holding. You're letting go of feeling unhealthy. You're letting go of all those toxins, toxic emotions. Then you're going to go the other direction. And this is the inward direction where you then use your affirmations in a positive way. Like, I attract unlimited health and wellness to my breasts, or I attract love and peace in my life. Okay. So first one direction, then the other. And as you're doing it, you're allowing your palms to also go over the nipples, because it's interesting, but nipple stimulation is a very important part of breast health. We have special lymphatic nodes in our nipples. They're very important, and it connects to the milk ducts. And if you never ever stimulate your nipples, you are definitely, this is why women who have breastfed are statistically less likely to develop cancer, because of all the nipple stimulation, which is just stimulating lymphatic flow. And so lack of nipple stimulation is inadequate breast care. So you're going to let your palms kind of stroke over the nipples as you do your circles. It's so easy. I mean, you can't mess this up. It's just literally like stroking over your breasts. You're in the shower, you do it anyways. And then the last move is you're going to pump the armpit. And so this is where it's not very deep, it's not hard, but it is kind of like, it's kind of you're going to drag up and in to the armpit. And this is like your lymphatic pump. And you're going to want to do that like 20 to 30 times on both sides. And if you go to have a lymphatic massage, which is something that feels amazing, I definitely recommend it. They'll start and end the process by pumping the armpits like this, because this is basically triggering massive lymphatic flow. And so this would be an excellent thing to do if you're having lymphedema in your arm, or, you know, if you're wanting to stimulate the release of lots of toxins, like if you want to detox. So that's the basic breast massage. There's, but you know, it's very, very easy.
Oh wow, Rhea. I listen. So my dad, you know, explained to me the pumping, right? He did explain that. And so one of the things that his patients complained about was his breast exam. He was a little heavy-handed. And so his thing was he had to squeeze a secretion out of the nipple, right? In order to test the breast for breast cancer or anything that was, you know, off. And I'm sure that that's what he was squeezing, is those lymphatic glands to get that secretion out of there, to make sure that there was nothing cancerous in that secretion. And so, you know, a lot of times it was his breast exam that he would do at the end. And the women were a little upset at him, but they loved him because they understood why he was doing it, right? And how important it
Right.
was. And so the exam that he walked me through was a little bit more pressure throughout, like around the nipple, making sure that nothing foreign. I didn't feel anything foreign, but just getting an idea of what it feels like inside the breast. And so that if there is something foreign, you recognize it. And like you said, being very in tune with your body and listening to yourself, because your psyche, your spirit's going to tell you, you know, your ancestors will talk to you. They'll tell you that something is not right. Wow. Thank you so much, Rhea. Thank you for sharing that with us. You guys, really simple steps. And I think we have a question from the audience. How does this impact men? Even though there's a low chance of being diagnosed, should men do breast massage daily as well? Yes, right? Men should do this
Yeah,
as well.
absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Because all men have a lymphatic system. All human beings have a
That's right.
lymphatic system.
And
And
breast tissue.
so, yeah, and breast tissue. Like men might not have milk ducts or milk glands, but they definitely have a lymphatic system and they definitely have breast tissue. It's why and it's how breast cancer can develop in men, because they have breast tissue, because it's on a cellular
and
level.
men, yeah, and
Go
I
ahead.
mean, we all know, you see that there are some men that for whatever reason have more breast tissue than
Right.
average. That's
Right.
because there's too much estrogen in their body.
Okay, so I want to go back to that. I'm so glad you mentioned estrogen. When I went plant-based, one of my natural holistic healing doctors recommended decreasing the amount of soy intake that I take, because a lot of these fake meats, a lot of the cheeses, just a lot of the foods, period, when you're looking at a plant-based lifestyle, is full of soy. And it's not that soy is the issue. It's the issue is that soy, the 80% of the soy that is served and provided in food comes from the United States of America now, not from China, which is where it is indigenous to, where the soy plant is indigenous to. So when soy farmers brought the plant here to America, to the United States, they had to genetically modify it. And in order to beat pests and pesticides and all of that stuff. And so genetically, the plant is different. It's different than any soy you're going to find in China, because that's where it's indigenous to. And so the soy, since the United States is providing the world with 80% of the soy that we're consuming, and it's this now changed genetically modified soy, it's understood that there's a lot of estrogen that soy puts into the body. And so is that something that you also are aware of? And do you tell your patients or people to be careful about the amount of soy intake that they do?
Yes, definitely. I do feel that it is very controversial, and there are a lot of studies. There are studies on both sides of this argument. There are studies that show that a low meat diet with regular soy consumption is beneficial, and also the opposite of that. And I think that the way I kind of understand it is that it is better to have phytoestrogens in the body than xenoestrogens. But it's unfortunate that we have so much xenoestrogens that we just can't get away from. It's in the water. It's in every single medicines. It's in our plastic that we use keep our food in. I mean, you can't get away from the xenoestrogens. They're in everything. And so it's a kind of a personal, for each person to work with their doctor and work with their in particular constitution for sure. But it is good to be aware that there is a lot of estrogen and phytoestrogen in soy. And so, yeah, it's individually, each person has to decide what's right for them. I worked with a woman at the Healthy Breast Foundation. She was really wise and had done a ton of research, and she definitely advocated for having some soy intake. And then I've talked to other holistic health doctors who were like, no soy. Like my mom's doctor was like, no soy, none whatsoever. So that's a difficult topic, but as long as you're aware of it and you navigate it and you listen to your body, I think that's the most important thing.
My doctors told me no soy, and the thing that I thought was very interesting is that if I'm there and I'm being treated for breast cancer or family history of breast cancer, the things that you limit me to, I feel like should be taught to everybody across the board, because yes, I'm at that state at this particular time, but before it gets to that state, you can do the preventive work for your body. And that's why it's so important.
Yes.
I teach my kids and my family and, anybody around me that, everything that they teach us to do after the fact of having the breast cancer, you should do before the fact. They're telling us they told me no soy, don't do deodorants, only do the natural deodorants, no aluminum. A lot of the things that, they wait until after the fact to try to go backwards and treat something, where if we go ahead and start doing these things before anything occurs, then we can probably help to prevent some of these things.
That's right. You're absolutely right, Tashima. Preventive medicine is the way.
Mhm.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Tashima, could you tell us a little bit more about, you're living in a state, you're living in Georgia,
Mhm.
that does not allow medical cannabis flower. They're allowing a certain module. They're allowing you to use an oil. So it's not considered a medical state because of that limitation. Could you explain to us, what did you do as a patient in your time of needing answers? Where did you find the resources to help you get access to the medicine that you needed? What were the steps that you took?
So I have the first step is to find a good doctor that is willing to be on board with you, and that's open-minded and not just focused on one way of Western medicine, that's kind of open to natural things as well. I think that that's important. And so my doctor helped me do the paperwork so that I could get a legal card for the state of Georgia, which allows you to have a certain percentage of THC in an oil form. It's not flour. And there's sites that there's different sites in Colorado, California, that make natural oils that fits the Georgia regulations, and they will, send them to you. Or it's the craziest thing is because you're living in a state where they allow you to have a medical marijuana card, but you're not legally able to have access to actually get the oil. It's like a gray area is what they call it, a gray area. And it's the craziest thing, because you give me a card and I'm legal to have the card, but I don't have a dispensary that I can go purchase anything from. I don't, it's just a hard thing.
The law just passed in Georgia, so you all are going to be getting dispensaries in the next 6 to 9 months.
Yeah.
They're awarding the licenses now, but you're right. When you were dealing with this, that didn't exist. It still doesn't exist. It's still not in implementation. It's just in legislation right now, and that's why I left Georgia, because I'm a cannabis patient and I did not have safe access to medicine there. And so I'm sorry I interrupted you, but tell us, what were the next steps after you found a supplier? They shipped it to you. Was that it? Were you just using the oil that Georgia says is what a cancer patient should use, or did you have to find access to more medicine?
To find access to more medicine at different points, especially when you're in the tough of treatment and you're aching and you're in so much pain and you're dealing with a lot of things and your body is rejecting the prescription medicines, or you're not trying to become addicted to the opioids that they're pushing, which is the next craziest thing, is that they push opioids, low level heroin, but then they ban marijuana. It's just, I don't know. It's just crazy.
So you had to find other methods. You had to go out of state, find other resources that you could access medicine that you chose that would be best for your treatment,
Yes,
right?
I traveled to legal states. I did a lot of traveling to legal states and vacationing and just spending time treating myself, and that's just what you had to do. But like I said, I'm on the other side, and I really believe, and I know that they don't like to spell it out, but I know that solely I'm on this side due to the help of the cannabis as well, along with every other thing. I don't want to just say it's solely that. It takes a lot of different things that you got to do to work together to get to that point. But I
Plant-based
know
nuts,
that,
plant-based foods.
yeah,
You have to adopt a plant-based lifestyle.
yeah,
A lot of people are
teas, a
not.
lot of different herbs, not even just the marijuana. I mean, like,
Yeah,
there's a girl here locally, Tawana. She owns Central Oils Boutique, and she's the bomb. Like, I learned a lot of different stuff from Tawana. Like,
I
just,
love Essential Oils
I
Boutique.
love her.
I
Like,
love
I
her.
get a lot of
Shout out
teas and,
Tawana. Give you a
yes,
shout out, girl.
shout her out. She's great. But a
Yes,
lot of teas and different herbs that help fight as well. So there's
absolutely.
so many different things,
That was cannabis in the research that I've seen and done. Cannabis doesn't exactly stimulate the lymphatic system, but there are other herbs that do,
Yeah.
right? So cannabis might help to heal, might help to manage with pain, but when it comes to the lymphatic system in particular, you're looking for different herbs that can help with the flow and the efficiency of the lymphatic system, right? But before we go, ladies, I really want Rhea to tell us a little bit more about what you have found in your research and studying with Bosom Wellness, and finding this oil, discovering this medicine that helped your mom heal. What was some of the alarming statistics that you heard of in your research when it comes to women and women of color in particular, that you could share with us? Because I found that this information is so valuable and so important for us to talk about.
Yeah, for sure. Minority women have higher instances of developing breast cancer. And it's because if you think about it, it makes perfect sense. It's because, number one, they're dealing with more stress in their life, and they're taking on the role of caregiver from a very young age. They're taking on the role of caregiver sometimes when they're the daughter. We're dealing with family situations that are just so much less stable. And those cultures, Hispanic cultures and African American cultures, they don't necessarily prioritize self-care. The value that is honored at the top of the value chart is always service and selflessness. And especially women, we are in the role of caregiver, and in minority groups and populations, that is taken to an extreme. So sometimes even young adolescent women are in that role of caregiver for all of their younger sisters, or for their mother who's sick, or for, and a lot of times there's like a father who isn't present in the home. There's a single mom who's having to be everything, all the roles for her entire family and for all her children. And in that type of environment, the breast has a tendency to be the place where the body is storing, because we can't feel these emotions. They're really intense, they're really powerful, and they're traumatic. And there's no safe place, there's no safe time, there's no way for the body to process the emotions, and we're not taught how to process the emotions, and so they're stuck, and those emotions tend to get stuffed into the breasts. And so the three emotions that are most commonly associated with breast cancer, and when we have talked to thousands of women with breast cancer who will tell you that, yes, I was dealing with grief, resentment, and anger. Those are the most important emotions to purge on a daily basis. And you have to be taught how to do that. If no one comes along in your life and tells you, girl, you got to go out and, work it out. You got to
get it out of you.
Scream it out. Go to freaking, do some athletic activity where you
class,
can,
something.
your body, then you don't know any better. And unfortunately, it all gets blocked up right here. And so I find that when I just have such a passion for talking to minority women, because they are the ones who, they get it right away. They're like, oh my God, you're speaking my language. I knew this. I knew it intuitively, but I never really crystallized it, and I never gave myself permission. But you got to process your emotions. You got to process all that baggage. And if you don't know how or have a safe place to do it, it's going to catch up with you at some point. And so I try to tell everyone, we should all have a blissipline. What is your blissipline? Every day, you should be doing at least 30 minutes a day of whatever makes you feel good. If it's working in your garden, prioritize it. If it's walking your dogs, prioritize it. If it's dance, take off all your clothes and dance around the living room, do it. If it's, whatever the hell makes you feel good and feel bliss, because again, that bliss is stimulating the release of oxytocin, and it's getting your body back into a parasympathetic state, which is a very healing place. So you got to take time for your everybody. And we should teach our daughters how to do it.
That's what Eric just said. Yes, that's what Eric just said. Everyone, if you don't take away anything else from today, get your blissipline together. Okay, you better plan to make yourself happy. Joy is healing. It's medicine. Plan every single day,
and
just
especially
like dropping off kids to school and to karate class and to swim class and to cooking dinner, all the planning that you do for everybody else. Make sure once a day you check in with self and you come up with a way to make yourself happy, because it's important for your own self-care.
And sometimes you have to just really I went through a time where I just had to block out everything and everybody and just take some time where you get still with yourself and just spend that time, intimate time with yourself, and just get to know yourself and learn yourself and learn what it is that you need, And if we don't ever take the time just to spend time with ourselves, some of us are so consumed with having to be around everybody and people and this and that. And you just got to take some time to just sit down, be still, and get by yourself and give yourself what you need, that time.
That's right. Ladies, thank you so much for being here with me today. Before you go, I'd like for you to give your website or your Instagram, whatever is the best way for people to contact you. Tashima, if you could tell us how to get in touch with Purpose and Passion.
Yes, I can be reached on social media, Facebook under Tashima Johnson, or Purpose and Passion, Purpose without the E. And then also real estate, it's Tash_the Realtor.
And Rhea, please share with us how to get in touch with you at Bosom Well.
Yeah, you can find me on my website. You can just do a contact us if that works. I'm a one-woman show over here. So I'm the only lady answering all the emails and doing all the things. So you can send me a contact us at my website, which is bosomwellness.com, or you can DM me and find a lot of this information that I've been talking about today on our Facebook and Instagram, which is at Bosom Wellness. And it's bosom is spelled BOSM. And it's a really cool little, since we're doing a advocacy for cannabis thing here, I just love to point out that everyone's going to love this. You guys are going to love this. So this word bosom, obviously we know that it's the breasts. This is an ancient word. And I started looking into the etymology because the word cannabis, B-O-S-M, is the word in the Bible for cannabis.
In the Bible. That's right.
One of the first references to cannabis. Yep. So I started tuning into that word bosom. How do you pronounce that? What word is that? What is the etymology of that word? And I found through my research that that word bosom or bosom actually means, over the course of human history, breast, Holy Spirit, and cannabis. That's what that word means.
Wow.
So
that's so
this
cool.
Part of the body. Yeah, so it's Bosom Wellness. So I'm trying to inspire all ages, all ethnicities, all women, every woman everywhere to embody and embrace bosom wellness at any stage of your breast health journey.
And don't forget about our men. We can't forget about our men. So we love them too, and we want them to have healthy breasts. But ladies, thank you so much. This was such an informative and just really passionate conversation about breast cancer and breast advocacy and breast health and breast wellness and what we can do to just be better caretakers for our other sisters and mothers and aunties in our lives, the other women and men in our lives that have breasts. So thank you again so very much, ladies. Our hour is done. And anyone who tuned in, all of our guests today, thank you for tuning in. If you have any questions or any follow-up, please don't hesitate to email us at mmunited@gmail.com. We would love to hear from you. And thanks again for joining us today, everyone. Thanks for being a part of Minorities for Medical Marijuana's Health is Wellness, our Breast Cancer Warrior edition. Thanks again, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you. It's been so fun.